Okay, Scorpio, let's get started with the reading. Now, I know I just barely said I was going to probably start here, but I actually want to start here for a second because I'm looking at these cards. But actually, as much as I want to talk about the lovers and all that, this card really stuck out the most. When I'm looking at these, sometimes with this card, I can feel like there's an emotional instability that comes through. But what I'm actually sensing intuitively with this energy is that Scorpio is going to be gracious and compassionate with conversations and talking to people and hearing people out and hearing their side of the story and all of that. But yet also at the same time, Scorpio has already made up their mind about something. That's why a lot of these efforts are completely futile, right? That's why an apology is futile. A lot of these things don't really matter because Scorpio has already drawn that line in the sand. And on one hand, you're going to let a situation close out on its own and not really put forth a great deal of effort in closing it out because you know it's just going to kind of take care of itself. Or the person or the thing is going to take care of itself. And then on the other hand, people might kind of really not know that Scorpio has already moved on. And I think there could be some really kind of interesting dynamics that happen, which I'm seeing with the Seven of Wands. Scorpio, there may be some things that you don't want to do that are going to kind of get your hands a little bit dirty. It's probably a good idea to find yourself a middle ground somewhere between getting in the trenches and just kind of walking away silently. There has to be something in the middle. You don't have to go and fight for the thing that was past, but you also can't just disappear. There has to be some kind of, I don't know whether I call it closure. I don't really know. But it's not even for the sake of yourself. I think it's for the sake of the energy and for the sake of karma and for the sake of, not having repeated patterns come back to bite you in the butt. So while your mind may already be made up, that's fantastic. Don't leave people hanging. Okay, that's going to be a big piece of advice that I highly recommend that will be of your benefit later on. You won't see the benefit right away. And that's sometimes kind of the hard thing about, alchemy and magic and all of that is that we simply don't always see the effects immediately, but you will, okay? You absolutely will see the effects later on. So keep that in mind. We'll get back to the rest of the cards with that pile in just a moment, but let's take a look now at this Tower situation and then also this Emperor, because the Tower came out with the Emperor as well. So, and he's also the Page energy came through too. So the Emperor is the Page, right? The Emperor is the one that wants to talk to you. The Emperor is the one that wants to keep something going or to issue an apology or whatever. So clearly Scorpio is starting to alleviate the stress and the pain and all of it. Like I said, I think Scorpio is just getting bored. Like this whole thing is becoming boring, right? The emotional attachment, the connection, the this, the that, whatever it is, it's becoming tedious and therefore not relevant in Scorpio's future. So that's the thing. If you're dealing with a Scorpio, it seems to me like they are making up their mind about stuff and not informing everybody. Okay, so you do need to be cognizant of that. This is happening organically. It's happening naturally. It's the essence of the Saturn-Pluto thing. And we all know that obviously Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, so it's especially relevant for Scorpio, this transit, okay? And oh, my goodness, what a relief though, right? What a relief it is to not feel the intense emotion, to not feel the intense attachment, and to just simply let the past crash and burn, right? Not the good past, but like the negative devil kind of past. The past that represented so many limitations, like as an example, in a business context, right, or a financial context, this devil represents you working really, really hard and still seeing people around you far surpass you much more quickly with far less effort, right? That's kind of the limitation. In a romantic context, this is you maybe falling in love with people that don't love you back, or vice versa, and wanting that mutual connection. This is creating space for the movement. The limitation can no longer sustain itself. Now, the connection with the Emperor here is quite relevant. Remember how I said this could be a Capricorn energy? I know that this is technically like Aries, but when we look at the essence of the Emperor with his armor, being a leader of a nation, right, or the leader of an army, the leader of anything really, we can put, you know, and then we have the armor on, which is very crab-like, like the shell. So that's why I'm pulling in all the other archetypes. But so when we have the Capricorn essence of the devil and the Capricorn essence of the Emperor down here, it tells me that this person is also very rapidly changing, but they are the ones that are trying to keep something going, okay? They are the ones that are trying to not lose the past. They don't want to lose anything. They don't want anything to change. They want their life to be the same, and they're probably addicted to their own kind of destructive patterns. You know, they're addicted to their own ways, the ways that differ so greatly from yours, Scorpio. You will be hearing from them probably once Mercury starts going back direct and Mars enters into Scorpio. You will be hearing from them. That's an inevitability. They may be trying to make peace if you are in some kind of a court case, a mediation, some kind of a, I don't know, something like that. You may come to some kind of an agreement, or you may begin mediation or something, trying to find an even ground. But the world, again, is kind of that reinforcement of the Tower of like, dude, it's over. Like, this is done and gone. It's not relevant in this this timeline anymore, excuse me. It's not relevant in this timeline anymore. And it's really like this person is being pushed through a portal, and you are kind of letting the portal open for yourself. So everyone here is transitioning. Everyone here is moving. It's just a matter of people's attitudes toward the movement, all right? If this is someone that you genuinely care about and you absolutely want to continue working with them or partnering with them, Justice is a good sign that the transformation and the metamorphosis that the relationship will go through this month and probably the upcoming months, it will have a positive win-win outcome where you guys do eventually meet in the middle. I just don't see that happening like in November. Probably not December, probably not January. It might be the fallout, February, March, April, maybe April, when things kind of start simmering down and things start really working out. Not trying to be discouraging, just trying to be a little realistic given the astrological environment. But the beautiful things can come from major transitions like this. So if you're having some marital problems, what can emerge is a relationship that is just entirely revamped, right? Total rebrand of the relationship that brings two people closer, more together and much stronger. Okay, so that's a really positive sign. Now, I do see, Scorpio, that you're going to, I'm trying to think of what to do here. So here we have the Three of Wands, which is a card of prosperity. And I see a lot of really prosperous energies down here, which leads me to believe that as we make our way into Sagittarius season, Jupiter enters into Capricorn, we are going to feel like, okay, this is really going somewhere now, right? Because Jupiter in Capricorn has a ton of work to do in just like the period of like a year. So it's going to be a bit arduous. It's going to feel a bit limiting. You might not see the abundance of Jupiter in Capricorn right away, but rest assured, it's happening, okay? So ships are coming in, and I think for you, they're going to start coming in quite rapidly once they do start coming in, like the money and the romance and all of that. So like I said, you are going to have to get in the trenches a little bit and fight some battles that you might not necessarily want to fight. I think your perception of like what's worth it and what's not worth it is good for you, but there does need to be care taken and consciousness toward your effect and your decision toward other people. That can be really hard for fixed energies, not just Scorpios, but all fixed energies, especially Taurus and Leo, to like really scale it back a notch, you know, and to acknowledge where there was wrongdoing on your own part, to do your own apology, to do the forgiveness, right? But to also stand firm in what you want as well. It's listening and appreciating someone else's point of view, but also not necessarily backing down from your own path either. So, you know, it's not going to be easy, and it probably is going to be rough on the other person. But at least they can say, okay, well, at least I know what's going on, you know? At least this person, it's not that they just didn't open up the door and left me wondering if they were home or not. It's they opened the door and then said goodbye and shut the door. It's probably better to make, you know, rip off the Band-Aid sooner rather than later, because I know that you don't want anything to continue. You don't want that person's name to continue popping up on your phone. You don't want these emails to continue in your inbox. So you have to cut it off, right? You have to turn off the dial. So as we make our way toward the High Priestess energy, now all of these connected with the black. Look how much black came out. Right, the color black, which absorbs all other color. And I'm just thinking here, 10, 9, 8, 3, so many swords. I don't think the High Priestess has a choice. Like, she has to come out. Because when someone is all in their head like this, and when there's all this stress and all this worry, she does give a bit of a nurturing, like, it's okay. You know, it's an okay kind of thing, what you're doing and these choices that you're needing to make. I'm not saying that you're, like, really happy about this stuff. You know, I'm not saying you're happy about letting go of this person. Or, you know, like I said, I think that the Emperor really was something that you were really hopeful about. You really loved that person. You really wanted that business to succeed. You really wanted that job. You know, you wanted that new home. Like, yeah, of course you wanted it. So now you're like, okay, well, now I know it's not going to be the way I thought it was going to be, and that's okay. So there is some disappointment, but there's still that very beautiful sparkle of inner knowing, you know? And that's what it is. It's a beautiful sparkle of inner knowing. And one thing that Scorpio season has really struck me with as I've been doing my own little meditations on the season, it's going to be stormy. And I see the storm clouds here, and I see the lightning here. And like, we know the way lightning revitalizes the air and the energy around the area. We know that, you know, it does something with the ions, and it really does refresh us. So we let the storm come, and we let the storm do its work, you know, its unpredictable things, and then we can breathe more easily. Because I'm wondering if you're like just not sleeping very well and you are super stressed and all of this, even though you don't need to be. You know, sometimes it just is what it is. And okay, sleeping not happening, maybe eating not happening really, you know, kind of a suppressed appetite. Maybe there's a quality of not wanting to go out and be social, so you are isolating a little bit, or you're being very social, but not necessarily in a deep, meaningful kind of scorpionic way, but more high level, superficial, which can kind of make you feel uneasy too. So, you know, like there's stuff, and this is kind of a symptom of imbalance, but because we have the Justice card here, it tells me that the imbalance is not going to be that way for very long. As we make our way to the Hermit energy, There's the aha moment, the moment where you know exactly, what needs to be done and how to go about doing it. Now, the Seven of Coins really is like, you have to look at what you really got. You have to look at your finances. You have to look at your balance sheet. You have to look at your just kind of your circumstance, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself. See, the thing about Scorpio season, we get dunked under into the underworld, and we, as much as we would like to blame the ruler of Hades for our circumstance, like, we know that he has nothing to do with it. He's just the enforcer of justice, right? Judgment really comes from ourselves. The judgment of our own lives, the judgments of how we handle people and all of that. So judgment really is just us looking at ourselves and saying, okay, well, it is what it is, and we can only, let it go and do better next time. So I think in some way, shape, or form, there is this quality of absolute liberation that happens, which is going to free up, and very quickly. It's like the minute that you decide that something's not serving and you want to get rid of it, boom, the Ace of Wands comes, and it offers opportunity for you. There's no shortage of opportunities. It's just a matter of you making space and kind of calling that into your life through manifestation, through energy work and transmutation. Now, this card, which I know we talked about already with the Queen of Wands, see, what's so beautiful about this, even though here I am saying you need to let go of the past, you need to live in reality, you can't be living in a fantasy. The whole purpose of that is to keep you balanced, okay? We have water and fire balancing each other out here. I kind of like that they came out with two females, because it's not necessarily a balance of the masculine and feminine within you, but more so a balance of like the spirit and the heart, okay? It's kind of more of how I'm feeling it. And there's more internal cohesiveness with the lovers in the middle, both things really working together and, fulfilling their role properly. And I think it's the spirit, right, the wands, and the heart, the cups, that are going to help guide the mind, to get the mind on the same page. With the Mercury retrograde, right here we have a card of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. This is a very encouraging card to get. It's a card that this Mercury retrograde is going to kick some major ass, and it's going to be in a good way, right? It's going to be awesome. You're going to have that opportunity to reevaluate and to find a path. That's kind of what it really is all kind of coming down to. It's like carving a new path. So there's no need for any stress. None of this Nine of Swords stuff over here. Like that's not necessary. That's not needed in any way, shape, or form. I think the Ace of Wands and the Lovers are intrinsically connected as well. I have this feeling that for many of you, a new love is also an inevitability. Right? All major arcana are inevitabilities. So just like the Tower comes out and inevitably cleans up a mess that we've made, the Lovers comes out and says, you know what, it's time for unity. And it could be a long-term, forever kind of relationship or not, and I'm seeing a fire and a water, so you may be attracting a fire sign. This is specifically an Aries, could also be a Leo, Sagittarius kind of individual. Someone that is passionate and driven, highly creative, also very sexual, can probably match you on the sexual level, and who is going to both love you to death and give you your space, right? They're going to be able to do both for you and you for them as well. So yeah, excellent. Page of Cups reversed. Remember how I was saying that the Emperor is the Page of Cups, and the Emperor is the one that is probably going to really want to reach out to you, and you may get annoyed that they're not reaching out at first, or that this kind of apology isn't coming, or this agreement isn't really working out, but eventually it will, right? The High Priest, the Six of Coins reversed. sorry, I'm getting all my wires crossed. The Six of Coins upright. I'll talk about the Hierophant reverse in a second. The Six of Coins upright is negotiation, balancing of the scales. Again, like we see with the scales of justice there. There's communication, there's settlements, agreements, all that wonderful stuff. Don't be afraid to give, Scorpio. If you're on the giving end of this, you're doing pretty good, all right? This is not a time for begging or desperation or neediness or clinginess or anything like that, right? This is a time for generosity, and it's a time of giving, and it's more about the outward flow of things. I love that we're getting the 6 and the 6 here, and then we have the 6, which is the Lovers up here, which is such a beautiful kind of combination of the 6s, because the 6 represents beauty, right? It's connected with the symbol of Venus. It has a lot to do with abundance and gratitude and togetherness and all of that. So the more cohesive you are as an individual, and the more generous of spirit you can be, the more likely for success there is. And don't forget the 3 of Wands. There's no time, and this was kind of, you know, reminiscent of the reading last month where I talked about the cling kills, because when you cling and you don't let go, you prevent your ships from coming in. So here I feel it's just kind of a reinforcement of that message of like, don't worry, Scorpio, you're making the right decisions, you are succeeding, it's going to be okay. You don't need to sacrifice your inner value, right? And I think on some level, the ego really, really, really wants this Page of Cups to come, right? It really wants that apology or that text message. Like I said, maybe for some reason you feel like you really, really want that, and you feel like you can't really move on without that. But if you can let go of the wanting of this and focus less on the ego and more on the soul desire, this is going to come. Right? It is going to come. The communication that you're seeking is going to show up. And that's why I think that there was that essence of moving on without really telling people that you're moving on, and making change without letting people know that the change is going to be happening. So I think on some level, it's kind of like you're going to move on, and then this Page of Cups is going to come. So one of the reasons why it's probably really annoying is because you have to like rewind. When you originally wanted this, you didn't get it, so you just continued on, and now you have to like go backwards. It's worth going backwards though, I'm telling you. Briefly, get it off your chest, say the things, give that person the closure, tell them what they need to hear, and then you can, you know, kind of warp ahead. And that's when your 3 of Wands, your Ace of Wands is going to really start showing up full force. You know, sometimes when you know you're on some kind of direction, look, another number 6, when you know you're headed in that direction, you know, there's no question, right? We also got the 6 of Cups. So wow, all the 6s came out, all reinforced with the beauty of the Lovers card. When you know you have to move forward, there can be a sense of sadness or grief about something. But when you know you're doing the right thing, there should be nothing but, you know, it's all very temperate. There's no extremes here, which is what I really love. As much as I would like to say Saturn and the Devil and 10 of Swords and it's also extreme, but it's just not. There's nothing extreme here, and there's certainly nothing you can't handle. So when you have, it really started with the High Priest, High Priestess of that, you know, the deep knowing, and then you have Temperance here as well, an angel, and you have an angel here, you have the red wings here, a lot of angelic beings. You also have the World card, which suggests, you know, guides, helpers, right? They're all very close to you. Now, Scorpio being real slippery. Man, I don't know. I think there's like this, I just want to be happy, and I'm just going to chase happiness. And for some reason, I'm feeling like these is 2 very distinct individuals. The Emperor now is kind of out. I think the Emperor is out, okay? The Knight of Cups could be a part of the Emperor as well, in terms of this person, kind of like the Page of Cups, right? Trying to deliver, trying to reconnect, whatever. But because you've already moved on so much, it's like, it's kind of a lost cause for them, which is why it's better to be clear and honest. But then you have this Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands, and here comes the Knight of Wands with the Queen of Wands. There does seem to be a very strong attraction to a fire energy. They don't have to be a fire sign. They might actually have a fire moon, like a Leo, Aries, Sagittarius moon, which will be kind of an interesting match for you. But in some way, shape, or form, they represent a part of you that might be unexpressed. And I think there's a great deal of gratitude for something very different. That's what I'm feeling. It's like it's something so different than what you've ever had before. And it's something you've always wanted, but I'm also sensing, like, because the Empress is here, on one hand, it's like she wants to dive right into this Knight of Wands, who seems to be kind of it's a very quick cover-up of the past. It's very interesting. It's a very quick, I don't want to use the word replacement, because obviously that's not like, you can't like replace people, but it's just like very quickly out with the old, in with the new, but in with the new of someone very not usually your taste, okay? And I think that this person caters to your sense of adventure. It caters to your sense of elegance and like kind of even flashiness, you know, like they probably have a really good style. They probably have a really cool like sense of humor. They might be a little bit more out of control than you, especially coming out as the King of Swords under there. But it's not the bad kind of out of control. Like, I'm not sensing that this particular individual like drinks a lot or anything like that. It's just they have this very beautiful enjoyment of life. Like, there's not a lot of seriousness with them. And for some reason, I think this particular individual makes you want to just like be light. You know, Scorpio is one of the heavier signs, kind of like a Capricorn or a Virgo, Taurus. It's very dense. And yet this one is far from being dense. And they help you to see the really beautiful things about life that maybe because of this situation have been kind of unilluminated for a while now. Okay, so I actually really, really love that, especially when we get the Two of Cups with the Ten of Coins. So here we have a lot of progress, right? A lot of movement. This has been needing to happen for a very long time, as you've known that it has needed to happen. And there's progress, there's a union, like I said, that heart of gold. And there's someone that actually really wants to share it with you. There's someone that wants to have fun with you, that wants to make you laugh, right? All these great things. There's someone that wants to enjoy the best things of life with you. And I think it's going to be like a breath of fresh air. It could be a friend, like, don't get me wrong, it does not have to be romantic, but it does have a soulmate quality to it. There could also be an essence of a location change for some of you too. I don't know why I've been feeling that for my Scorpios lately, but I do. I feel like the Uranus in Taurus, for you especially, is kind of shaking up your grounding. Okay, so there's, you know, even though Taurus doesn't necessarily have to do with the home or family or anything like that, it's your grounding, it's your kind of where you feel comfortable. So I think that there's some shake-up there. So the Knight of Wands could also represent a move or a new firm, a new company. But again, it's a soulmate meant to be kind of deal. And it is going to be extraordinarily fruitful for you financially and just in terms of happiness. Okay, so like, wow, right? That's totally worth something. But Scorpio, you have to let it happen, okay? You have to like let yourself be totally, totally happy. See, a King of Wands too. I really do. I think it's a Aries, right? Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. There's something about a fire energy that's probably going to be so attractive to you that you're just like, I don't know what to do, you know? And I think you start falling in love with a new way of life. And I love the Three of Cups here, I do, but you have to be careful that you're not avoiding your new branding, right? This new branding that you've been working so hard for and you've been like taking so many actions towards. Sometimes like when it actually starts to happen, people can freak out and like, no, let me go back to the Emperor, and they just dive in to the past patterns, setting forth a whole new karmic cycle that's just like, oh brother, you know what I mean? And there's going to be a tendency to do that because the moon can be disorienting and this person may feel like they're not real or they're not genuine or they're just going to like up and leave and be like a Knight of Wands, which can typically be like, you know, maybe a womanizer or something like that, but they're not. And because they're coming out reinforced with the King and the Queen. So they have all facets. This is probably a very well-balanced person. They like to have fun, they like to enjoy things, but they also have an innovative mind. They're highly creative, they have a high sex drive, and then they just overall enjoy life very much. Scorpio, you can get on that ride with them if you want to, and I think on some level it's like a part of your destiny. It might not be like the one, you know, but it's a part of your destiny. It's a stepping stone, and it's totally worth going on that detour because I think there's going to be some amazing lessons. Remember the heart of gold that I was saying, and I know you want someone to see your heart of gold, but what happens when someone actually sees it? What are you going to do when they actually look at you and see you for what you've always wanted to be seen for? You know, you have to let them see it. I hope you do. I hope you do, because you really, really deserve it. And the Three of Wands is everything you want is on those ships, okay? So life is not going to change overnight, but it can happen fast. It truly, truly can. It can happen fast. So I hope you go for it. I'm going to leave you with that, you guys. All right. Thank you so much for everything. Have an excellent birthday season for all you Scorpio suns out there. Thank you, and I'll see you next month. Take care.